Growing up watching the Jetsons sparked my love for technology. I always thought when I was a kid, when I grow up, I'll have a house full of robots doing all of my chores. We're not quite there just yet, but I will say we're getting very close. Now, one chore I wanted to get rid of is cutting the grass. It's time consuming, it's expensive, it's dirty, and I hate it. So enter the next chore that I no longer have to do. This is the Orion X7 by Sunseeker. First of all, I want to give them some love for sponsoring this video by sending it to me to check it out, but that doesn't change how I feel about this product at all. So what got me excited about the Orion X7? Its design. It looks cool. And so if this thing is going to be sitting in my backyard, I want it to look cool. It also has its own docking station, so I don't have to do anything with it. I don't need to pick it up and move it when I'm done, and I can use it remotely, so even if I'm out of town, I can still run it or monitor what I'm doing. And I can even set up a schedule, so it really does its own thing without me intervening. It can cut up to 3 acres of land. It has auto rain detection, so if it's going to rain, it won't cut. It also has lift and tilt blades, so if it's going uphill or down, the blades will adjust for an even cut. But of course, those features and things that got me excited before using it, those are just specs and things that are great about it. So let's talk about how I've been using it. The setup process has a few parts. If you set up any type of smart home thing before, then this setup should be pretty simple. The app walks you through each step, which makes it pretty easy. The first thing I did was charge the unit all the way up using the base station. I actually did that in my house before taking it outside. Now, once it was done charging, I took it outside to where I wanted it to be, and then I used the app to walk me through the rest of the setup process. Now, there are 2 parts. There's the base station, which is the home for the Orion, and then you have the RTK, which communicates with satellites to keep the Orion on path. To keep the X7 so precise is using something called the AO Navi system. It's merging the RTK satellites and the VSLAM visual technologies to make this happen. The visual AI system can recognize more than 35 different objects, and it will navigate around it, whether your kid left the ball in the yard or your pet is in the way. You don't have to worry about it just running over things. The RTK needs to be located in a spot that has an unobstructed view of the sky. And it comes with a generous length cord. You can put this thing pretty far from a plug. They do recommend the best way to mount it is actually on the roof of your house, but for this install, I didn't put it on the roof just yet. Both parts are IPX5 weather resistant, so they can be outside in normal rain circumstances without an issue at all. Now, once you have it all set up, you're pretty much ready to go. The first step using the app is to drive the robot around, teaching it all the boundaries. Boundaries are good. So I drove it around the property using my phone, and you just control it using the app. Now, once that is done, you can go into the app to mark off additional boundaries, like around a tree, or if you have a playscape or something like that. In the app, you have a lot of settings, and I can make a whole video talking about all the settings. But some of the settings I want to call out is that you could tell it how to cut, what direction, the rotational speed, and also the cutter height. This comes in handy if you're particular about your grass, which I know some of y'all are. I do love the fact that I can make these changes and communicate with the robot over the internet. It doesn't require me to be on the same network. So you can still cut your grass or monitor it while you're on vacation, or you can just run the schedule or edit or modify a schedule. Now, for the Orion to run, there is a physical password that is on the back of the unit, and as long as that password is put in, it'll be fine. But let's say someone steals it and tries to sell it or tries to use it on a different base station, it will require that password for it to run in a different location. As it's cutting, you can see it take a very precise path based on the boundaries you made. I wouldn't say it's like particularly fast, but you can see it cutting down the grass in real time, and it's just kind of like those set it and forget it type of things. Now, once it gets to the end of the boundary, it does a turn and comes back, cutting just a few inches over. It's really precise, and there wasn't any like missing gaps when it's making its way down my lawn. You can see the difference in the grass as it's cutting, and I'm not a grass cutting expert, but I think it's doing a pretty good job. Now, when it gets to a no-go zone, you can see it go around it like it does with this tree. Now, originally, I didn't mark it as a no-go zone. I really wanted to see what happens when it reaches an object because it does have visualization systems. When it sees an object, it actually works its way around it. However, if you mark it as a no-go zone, it's actually already in the path. so then it will go around it much more efficiently. So I will say make sure you are marking your no-go zones and boundaries to get the best cut. My yard is pretty simple without a lot of hills or other terrain elements. The X7 is designed to go up and down hills up to 35 degrees, and the blades will lift and tilt so the grass is still cutting evenly. If you take a look at these rugged wheels, they're all-wheel drive, and they're designed for superior traction and stability on any terrain. It's also not that loud, so when I was able to sit on my patio while I was running, it didn't sound extremely loud. I knew it was going, but it wasn't anything that would disturb like a conversation or if I was on a call. It is pretty quiet. I know this part doesn't matter, but when I was setting this up and running it, all of my neighbors were coming by to check it out, and they were thoroughly impressed of the accuracy and how well it's cutting. And as far as safety, there's a huge stop button on the back, which if you ever need to stop it, you just hit the stop button and it will stop dead in its tracks, or you can definitely use the app to do that as well. It's $2,300 and it comes with everything you see here in the video. If you factor in the price of a lawnmower or lawn service and also time, you can see some of the added value by having this product. There is so much cool autonomous stuff coming down the pipeline. What are your thoughts on this and what are you looking forward to?